Wow, what a great crowd. Thank you so much for having me. A lot has changed since the last time that I was here. The last time that I was here, I was quite literally a political outcast because less than 3 months into my term as an MP, I was defamed as a Nazi sympathiser, an extremist and a bigot, and expelled by my own party room. Yeah. Most of you know most of the story by now. You know, first they tried to expel me and failed, and then I was suspended, and then I was expelled, and then I had to clear my name in federal court. And then after I won, I was still denied readmission into the party room until finally, with a change of leader, they eventually let me back in. It is actually a great story of victory that shows us that when we stand for what's right, people rally around us. And people do their jobs and we can win. And I especially want to say a big thank you to CPAC and everybody who supports it, because you were one of the first to bring me in from the cold and to give me a platform and hear me out, and it was just amazing. And especially Warren Mundine, he was the first person straight out of the gates to say it wasn't true. So thank you, Moira. People have often asked me, you know, one person even put it like this: what happened to you, Moira, that made you able to withstand all of that? And it's a story that hasn't really been told yet. If I had to summarise it, I would say, really summarise it, Labor girl meets Liberal boy. It's a love story. And I thought I would tell you that story today because it's just so encouraging, because right now I think that a lot of people feel that, you know, leftism has won, that it's just gone too far, it's too big, it's such a massive beast. You can't defeat it. And there are people who get paid a lot of money by my own party all around this country and parties that are similar to mine all around the world that actually tell us, look, you can't beat them, so you need to join them. You need to sell out on all your values and say and do whatever is necessary in order to win the election. And they're actually so deluded that they even say that if you do that, you'll suddenly regain a moral backbone once you're in power, because we all know power doesn't corrupt, and then you'll be able to be those good people and do those good things that you wanted to. Of course, that's just a lie. And I think it's a very easily disproved lie. And, you know, Charlie Kirk, what happened to Charlie Kirk is so shattering to everybody. But he did the ordinary, simple thing. He had his beliefs, he lived them out publicly and privately, and he went out and he winsomely persuaded people to come over to his point of view. And that's really what I think is at the core of, you know, conservative politics. And I came from the left. And I thought that I believed everything that I believe now. And I thought that I was supporting the party that had those values. The thing that the left doesn't want anybody to know is that they lie to their own supporters. They don't go out there and say, what we really are is basically a mafia racket. What we're going to do is extort people through the law. We're going to take all their money and then say they can apply to have it back through some grants. Just a bit of it, not all of it, of course. We've got to line our own pockets and, you know, plump up the contracts for our union buddies. And we're going to get them to pretend, in exchange for this little bit of money, to pretend to believe in things that they don't believe in, and they don't agree with, and that they don't even like. And then we're going to say, after that, everybody agrees with us because they put these flags up, they put these signs up, they went on these marches, they wear these lanyards, and they create this whole false sense of agreement all throughout society. But it was so easy for it to come tumbling down the minute they had to answer questions, the minute that someone who knew what they believed on the other side, had moral conviction, had intellectual rigour, and actually cared about the people that he was trying to persuade. And I have to say, my husband is just like Charlie Kirk, actually, in many ways. And I was a uni student when I met him, and he did answer my questions, and he took me seriously. And I was convinced. I was convinced that I was supporting the wrong party. And I'm very sad for Erica that she doesn't get to have a longer time with her husband. You know, we did all the things that they say to do. We got married, had children, bought a house. It is a good life. And the fact that the next generation is being gaslit and manipulated and having all of those, those pearls of wisdom that have been earned over the ages denied them is a disgrace. And that's why I think that we absolutely need to ignore the people who say if you can't beat them, join them. Because what is winning for? Just to get power? If that's your attitude, then you don't even deserve, you're not even worthy to govern the people over which you claim to be worthy to govern. You're just not worthy at all. So I came from a left-wing family, as I said. My mum, I was basically raised in a matriarchy of Labor unionist, high-paid, very high-paid unionists. And my husband made the mistake early on of calling my mother a Chardonnay swilling socialist. Yes. They still talk to each other. But the truth is most Labor voters are not Chardonnay swilling socialists. When I met my husband, I had come to the point where I had seen union corruption up close, but I still believed everything that I was told about the right. So in my head, there were these two unpalatable options. There were the fat cat capitalist bosses who exploited workers, and then there were these fat cat exploitative union bosses who also exploited workers. And again, we have the answer. I was confused and demoralised, and I had questions. And on the left, when I was growing up, you ask anyone who was raised in Labor, you say, Mum and Dad, what's the difference between Liberal and Labor? And they say, well, Labor for the workers, Liberal for the big end of town. That's not an answer, and the minute that you poke at it, the minute that you ask further questions, they can't sustain it. The minute that you talk about how to protect rights, it all falls apart. Because the left, whatever name they call themselves in every country, it's always the same. They extort people through the law. They take away their rights, they take away their money so that they're dependent and that they're easy to control. And they promise nirvana, they promise this utopia, and it always, in every era and in every place, ends in misery. And so if we are going to actually campaign and try and win elections, I don't want it to be just because we want to take government to win power. I want it to be because we care about people and we know that our values are the only ones that are actually going to be good for people, that are going to protect children. We get accused of being involved in this culture war. We didn't start this culture war. They attacked our culture. And what have they presided over? And under their leadership, what have they presided over? Scandalous child safety failures. Poverty, increasing poverty everywhere, homelessness. I mean, having to go to China to beg for money to build a tunnel. You know, it's predictable. But where is the hope? Where is the hope from looking back throughout history? We always win throughout history. The freedom fighters, we always win because we align with human nature. You cannot treat human beings like units of production. That's not what we are. You can't sell us like cattle because that's not what we are. There's something about human beings, about our inherent dignity and our inherent worth. And we weren't made for that, and we never ever put up with it for long. So I just want everybody to take heart that we will win in the end, but we have to get ourselves organised, decide what we actually believe, take a stand. You know, you ask people, you go and see your politicians, and I notice you bring up an issue, so you'd say sex-based rights, and they say, oh, nobody's interested in that. Not only is it a lie, I didn't ask whether people were interested in it. It's wrong, and I expect you to fight for what is right. People can forgive a lot and disagree with you and still vote for you, I think, if they know that you care about them. And if you don't lie to people, and if they can tell that you believe what you say, they'll come along with you and they'll start to think about the other things that you believe that they think they disagree on. It's not actually that complicated, and I don't know why there is so much cowardice. But this is a fight we have to have. Seems like every generation has to have it. And I think the first institution that we need to win back from the left's long march through the institutions is our own party. We are supposed to be the party that stands for rights protected in law, so that it doesn't matter if you're powerful, if you're a premier, a former premier, if you're rich, if you're white or black, what your sexuality is. None of that matters. The law is supposed to protect what's right. It's supposed to protect on the basis of principle. We don't extort people based on whether they've paid their union fees, based on whether they've paid their party fees. If it's right, it's right. How can we lose on that platform? If we stick to it with courage, we won't. Everybody wants things to be fair. At the moment, they've only got one option in their minds, I believe. They look at Labor and they think, look, if I'm in the club, I'm going to get protected, whether I'm right or wrong. It means it's not going to be just, but at least I'll get some kind of protection for being in the group. They look at us and they see that not only do they not protect people on the basis of principle, but they don't even protect people on the basis of being one of their own. So, as I said, it's time for us to take back the first institution that we need, which is representative political parties, so that we can change the law. We're not ever going to get justice in this society without just laws. Fair taxes, fair laws, and protecting families. These are freedoms that we need, freedoms to think through ideas, freedom to speak, freedom to associate. Again, not having us held hostage and blackmailed over ordinary, inalienable rights. So I just wanted to let you know that these are things that I've always believed, that I was raised to believe. And lots of people on the left, in the Labor movement, they're good people and they have the same values. But I think we have a bit of a failing on our side of politics in that we don't really go out and speak to them and build relationships with them. They're working hard, they're tired, they're worried about the bills. They don't know why their lives are the way that they are often, and they especially don't know why in terms of our point of view. Their local Labor MPs will tell them why. It's because of the racist Liberals, or it's because of some kind of bigoted Christians, or it's because of colonisation or climate change, or, you know, a virus that somehow... It's always some amorphous, external, untouchable, unfathomable, unmeasurable thing that you can't quite touch. It's always very convenient, isn't it? Whereas, I'm sorry, if we look around, they are in power, the left. They're tangible. It's actually their fault. And we have to hold them to account. We have to educate people. That's the culprit right there. So take heart. CPAC's doing a great job. There are other organisations getting set up as well. We can win, we should win, we need to win, and Nobody gets to bow out of this fight. Doesn't matter how hard it is, doesn't matter how much it hurt my family, your family. This is not for us, it's for the next generation. So thank you for all being here, and I look forward to working with you.